Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the event planning process, unsure where to start, or maybe you're halfway through and you're confused where to go from there? Or maybe your wedding or your event is 2 weeks away and you've procrastinated everything. Well, you might need to think about micro-planning. Like micro-planning, oh yeah. Hey guys, Logan Clements here, freelance event manager, and I'm so happy to have you back on my channel about event planning and tips and tricks for planning your own next event. Before we get into it, I do want to say if you want to hear more about event planning, my favorite tips and tricks, running my own business, all that other fun stuff, please hit the button below, subscribe, ding the bell to turn on the notification so you hear when I drop my new videos every single Monday. And remember to like, dislike, comment below. Let me know what you're thinking because I'm here to help answer your questions and I'd love to know what you're thinking about and what kind of event problems are keeping you up late at night because I know what's keeping me up late. But I'd love to hear from you. All right, so what is micro-planning? Or you might have heard it on some sites now. It's called eloping or small micro packages. A lot of event planners, especially wedding planners, are shifting to their focus to this, especially right now with COVID times of there being lots of postponements, smaller gatherings being allowed, not your bigger ones. And so a lot of planners are shifting their services to kind of be that person for you. What I kind of think about when I think of micro-planning, I think of it as somebody who has planned a majority of their event more than 60%, or they are willing to do more than 60 to 70% of the heavy lifting when it comes to event planning. This is where their micro-planner, or the planner they hire with their micro-planning package, is kind of like their paid best friend. That kind of sounds bad because I know you definitely have your own best friends, but you're being a paid best friend, meaning they are there, they have your back, they're there to listen to all the little details about your event planning process. They're there to work with you and use their event skills to help you just finish that little bit that you have left, that extra 40%, that extra 30% to get you to your event to where you want it to be. I know we all have our real best friends in real life, but I don't know how many of mine, even my friends as a planner, want to hear about all the juicy, delicious details of what is in my day of timeline, what my rundown looks like, what my move-in plan looks like, just how smooth the cleanup was. I don't think a lot of them want to hear about it. But as an event planner, I love to hear about it. And so when you hire me or another planner for a micro planning package, they're there to help you think through those little things. I also feel like it's a good time to talk about what a micro wedding is. Micro weddings are happening right now because of COVID, where you're seeing a lot of those little backyard weddings. Some people define it as like 15, 20 people or less. That's not saying you don't want it to be beautiful, amazing, and special. It's just your guest list is a lot smaller. Your budget might be a lot smaller, but you also want to make sure you're not just confining yourself to a few things that you can do. You want to still be able to make it awesome and special, and this is where these micro planning packages could be really helpful because similar to a lower cost by having less people, micro planning packages are usually less costs associated with them as a planning package. Like my personal micro package could just be 1 hour or a couple hours or, catered to you, but it would be way less than my full planner packages, my day of coordination I do. It would just kind of fit your budget based on what you're doing, whether you're planning your own wedding, if you're planning a nonprofit event, if you're planning a corporate party even, it doesn't just have to be nonprofit, but a micro planning package could be right for you because it's flexible and it works with what you have on your budget. One example that I have where I did a micro planning package was working with a local nonprofit here in Seattle, the Seattle International Film Festival, SIFF for short, as they're known here, and they do an annual gala that helps them raise the money for their nonprofit to run all year round. So they gave me a call in October asking me to come on as what I would call as a micro planning package. They brought me in the week of, so I only was working with their lead event person the week of. I did several days in their office just getting the rundown of knowing what's happening at the event, the different elements. I helped the main planner organize all the materials before we move in, get the live auction in place, the silent auction in place, and essentially just download everything that was in her brain and put it in mine. Because as a planner, one of the things you wish, and I can't wait until the day, I guess I can wait until the day, but I say I can't wait till the day when we can clone, because so many times have I been at events where I wish there were just like 2 of me, like if I could just copy myself and also have myself, and then I could send other me off to go do half the other tasks that I don't have time as one person to do. And so this kind of package of doing micro planning was really smart on their side because they then were able to gain me another event planner who then would know everything the main planner did, so that when we were in different rooms, because they had a cocktail reception in one room and the dinner party portion in the other room, we could be in separate rooms and yet both knew the same thing. So we were able to help answer questions from vendors, help troubleshoot with guests during the event, coordinate the volunteers when we were doing the setup and breakdown of the event. It was very, very helpful. So if you're a planner or you're thinking about planning an event all by yourself, just have something to think about. If you could hire someone in as a micro planner or get them in on a micro planning package, it could really take a lot of the weight off of your shoulders. You won't realize until you're in the event just how helpful it would be to have a second version of you, because there are so many things on paper seem simple, but then when you're in person and running around, they're not so simple. Another event that I worked, it was a beautiful old historical hotel and looked amazing from the guest perspective, but when you got into the logistics, the big stickler point was that the loading dock was down 3 elevator stair thingies, underground this long tunnel, and then on the back side of this big city block. That was okay because the guests aren't going to see it, but it was really hard for vendors and logistically for them to get their stuff from their cars all the way into the venue. And so this is where we realized as a planning team, it was really helpful to have 2 people, not just one planner, 2 planners, and one person to own the ballroom portion inside, the dinner portion, the performances, the live auction, everything that was happening during dinner, and have the other person manage the reception and able to be that person who knew everything about the ins and outs of the loading dock. Because we couldn't be at the same place. It took like 10 minutes to walk from the ballroom all the way through the loading dock to the loading dock. So if you only had one person, something happened, it would take you at least 10 minutes to run to the loading dock, handle the problem, and then at least 10 minutes to run back to your event. And I can't think of many events where it would be good for the lead planner to be missing for 20 minutes, and I wouldn't say missing, but not in the main event area. So this is just something to think about. Now, this is where I gotta ask you guys, please comment below if you ever wish that you had a body double when you were planning an event, or you're maybe not even at your event, but just during the planning process. I know there's so many little details that you have to think about that sometimes it would be nice if you could just send your body double off to do something and you do the other task, or you do send your body double off to talk to a vendor and you get to take a nap or have a bubble bath or a massage or, whatever you would do if you could send somebody off to be you. Now, if you're not sold on the whole concept of micro planning or day of coordinating or whatever you want to call it, of smaller package of event person helping you make your event awesome, I would also think about it in the wedding context and just thinking when you're going through a wedding, how many little things you don't think of as the couple that you think maybe right now you could handle, but when you're actually in the process of getting married and having all your guests there, you probably can't do that. One example would be you have your cake that's coming from your caterer, you have your venue, and you brought in all the outside catering, and the baker who baked your cake just drops off your cake. So we get to the big moment. Let's cut the cake. You and your special someone cut the cake together. Yay, we're so happy, cake cutting. And then what happens next? Who's cutting the cake? The baker, the person who made the cake, has already put the cake down and left. And the caterer, if you haven't already told them that you would like them to cut the cake, some caterers are proactive and they'll be like, oh cool, no worries, we'll cut it. I've also been to weddings where there's literally been no one to cut the cake. And so myself or friends have picked up the knife and been the person who cuts everybody at the party a piece of cake, because it's just something you don't think about. And as a couple, you don't want to be standing there cutting 100 pieces of cake instead of out there partying and celebrating and being with your guests. Another part that I think that people don't think about at the wedding process, where they think they could handle it all as the couple or family, is the cleanup process. Ooh, people hate cleanup. People don't think about it because they hate it so much. But you got to throw this big party, and then afterward, you got to pack everything up. And I don't know many venues that allow you to keep your stuff there until the next day. A lot of times during wedding season, a lot of venues will have another wedding moving in the following day. And so do you as the couple really want to be shoveling all your decorations into your parents' car or your friend's car? Or would you rather have somebody else magically do that for you? So here's things you don't want to think about that. As a specific example with centerpieces, I know at some weddings, people want to give the centerpieces away, and that's great. And that's one way to tick some part of your cleanup list off your list. Take it out there, give it away, give them to people. I've also known of some couples who really want to keep their centerpieces because it actually is an item with sentimental value. At one wedding, we had to go around and collect all the centerpieces, and we were missing one, and it turned into this big to-do, and it was all because we had to go and find and hunt it down. And so this is just something to think about when you're going through your planning process of where it might be helpful to have a second person that's not you, that's not your mom, that's not your Aunt Becky, that's not your cousins, but is somebody who's an event person who could handle that kind of a situation so that you're freed up just to celebrate and enjoy your day. So the micro planning package might be for you if you want somebody else who can be in charge of the setup, the breakdown of your event, texting or calling your guests if they get lost, calling you an Uber or Lyft to take you home at the end of the night, to make sure all your gifts go somewhere specific, to help your volunteers know what needs to get thrown away, what doesn't, what needs to get picked up. If any of these sound helpful to you, you might want to think about micro-planning or day of, any kind of small event planning package. Might be for you. As an event planner working as a day of or a micro-planning package, there is no typical duties for you, but I've done everything from helping coordinate outfit changes, helped lost guests, console angry family members who wish they were in more photos, and unfortunately it's time for the couple to take pictures with somebody else. I've hunted down centerpieces. I've helped blow up decor, not like exploded decor, but like blow it up because it was an inflatable decoration. Did that. I've physically cut the cake for people. I've cleaned up after the event for everyone. I've provided an Uber home for several guests who were not feeling so great. I've provided briefs for the volunteers. I mean, there's a lot that goes into the event planning process that I think at times gets forgotten if you only have one brain on it, but if you can put two, you're more than ready to rock and roll. So the one thing with micro-planning on the cost side is it looks differently for everybody. I know some planners who've made a specific micro-planning package. I know some planners that have that day of package. I know myself, I started listing both my hourly and 3-hour chunk packages recently just because I found that not everyone's budget can accommodate full planning or partial planning. And so I have these smaller chunks that I can get brought in to help on timeline or figuring out budget or just answering some of your event questions. And every planner is different. So this is something just to think about when you're looking at vendors that you like and see if they actually have something a little bit smaller that might fit with your budget but still help you achieve everything you want to at your event. And again, I know there's a cost associated with it. Not everybody loves having to pay for an extra service, but you're not just paying for that person's time, you're paying for their experience and their knowledge and the fact that they've done these events before and they're gonna think of stuff you haven't even thought of. You're not gonna find it on Google or on some website about how to do your event. This is stuff that's in their head that they've learned by doing, and it's gonna be super helpful and could actually maybe even save you money in the long run. So I hope you enjoyed learning about micro-planning and having a body double on the day of. Maybe if that's the only thing I convinced you of is that we need clones. That's fine too. But I hope you learned something new about the importance of having a second person there to help you with your event, or just understanding more of what goes into having a live event and why there's so many times. You won't just see one event planner, you'll often see 2 or 3 or more, assistants and all that stuff. So if you like this information, please feel free to subscribe below, hit that little little bell to turn on notifications so you can hear when I drop new videos every single Monday. You can like, you can dislike if you didn't like it, comment below, but let me know what you think, and I look forward to chatting to you guys another time. Bye.